there's only one reason that you clicked on this video, and that's because you're stuck in AA. You don't know what to do. You're what's considered like an intermediate player, like just stuck right in the middle, and that's what I'm here for. Today, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to just progress past that solid wall that you hit in Anime Adventures, especially if you don't have a unique. Because, I mean, obviously uniques make this 1,000 times easier, but it's just a guide. It's going to be the perfect guide for you guys to just push past that wall. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, but for that to be possible, you guys have to drop a sub, and only 5.7% of you guys are subbed. So if you can, don't forget to drop a sub down below to help support the channel, and if you enjoy the content, like the video. Let's get back to it. And to start us off, we're going to be talking about the story. So, right now, you probably have 1, maybe 2 evoed units. You know, joined some people, piggybacked along, got an evo, have some decent evos. You're probably somewhere around Puppet Island on your story mode. You made it through with your unevos till about here, and then you really had to evo some units, especially like these one-piece units that are super duper strong. And so you made it to Puppet Island, and you got them evoed. But now what do? You can't seem to beat Windheim by yourself. Can't seem to beat it with a team. Nobody in pubs wants to help you. Well, your best bet is going to be to go to the Anime Adventures Discord. But that server is almost always full. The odds of getting in are very, very low, since there's already 1 million members in there. And so, you gotta figure out a different way to progress. And that's what I'm here to help you with today. The first thing I'm going to talk about is cursing your units. Curses can give you that little bump, especially if you're super close to getting past your story level. And so, I'll throw up it on the screen right now. Basically, you're going to do the Jujutsu Kaisen, Cursed Academy, right here. You're going to do the Infinite. And that will help you obtain these keys. They are called the Cursed Womb Keys. Or just keys in general. Here you are. The Key Cursed Womb. Once you have these, each one will get you 1 cursed finger. I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. But basically, once you finish that, all you're going to do is hit areas and then go to Sukuno's domain. Once you're in here, you're going to talk to Sukuna. I seek greater power, curse units. If it's your first time, he'll say something and then you just talk to him again. Pick unit. You can choose whatever unit you want. For example, I'll use my Dio. My Dio has a minus 8.1% SPA for minus 5.1% range. An extremely strong curse on Dio. As his SPA, the lower you can get it, the better, because he's extremely high damage and already has a very high range for base. And you don't want to lose damage on him because his damage scales very rapidly. Even though with curses, for those of you that don't know, any trait that adds damage does not affect the curse. So say you have a minus 4% attack, your curse is not going to reduce that attack from your, say, 15% from Superior 3. It's only going to reduce it from your base unit's damage. That is something a lot of people actually do not know, and is something I wish I knew earlier, but I eventually did actually get, like, on my guts. As you can see, he does 27,000 on placement with Unique, and I have a minus 4.7 curse. So that actually works out perfectly. His curse is great, because now he has a 5.1 SPA on placement, and maxed out, he only has a 9.4 second SPA, meaning he does well over, you know, 150k DPS plus bleed. So he is super, super, super duper strong. And that's why I love having him on my team, because he does a ton of damage. He's a very good unit. And that curse makes him just that little bit better. Plus, you also need curses on units like Leafy and units like Wenda and Irwin. You don't have Leafy? Get Wenda. The curse you want is added range for added SPA. The reason you want added SPA is because when you add SPA onto these units, they will enable you to do what's called the Infinite 100% buff. This buffs your unit's damage by 100% as long as they correlate with magic or physical. Leafy and Wenda being for magic, Orwin being for physical. The buff is a little difficult to explain, but basically what you want to do is you're going to want to place down 4 units. You're going to activate the first one's ability, put it on auto, wait 4 seconds, activate the second's ability, put it on auto, and then once you see all the buffs disappear, all the 50% disappear, or 39% if you're Wenda, 30% if you're Wenda, then you're going to activate the next units, and then you wait till the 69% or the 100% disappears, and then you activate it again, and that will cycle through infinitely as long as your curse is between 5.2 to 6.0 SPA. The time does change. On the lower end of the SPA curse, 5.5 and below, I recommend doing 3 seconds in between each unit. 5.5 and above, 5.6 technically and above, I would recommend doing only 4 seconds, because that has worked best for me, and that's let me keep infinite buff for well over 100 waves. So that is like your go-to timings on your infinite buffs. The next thing I want to talk about is events. So if you're stuck, a lot of these event units are easy to evo and do a buttload of damage. So here, for example, there's the Port Agency. If you have extra gems from doing your Infinity Castle while you're stuck in story and getting that extra 15k, that will get you almost to pity if you buy these books every single day. And the units on this banner are actually extremely good. Asushi does a lot of damage, plus he's bleed. Chuyo is a great hill, and Izu is another great pick. All of the units on there, pretty much other than Aku, are great picks and easy evos. All they require is 500 of the books, and those are extremely easy to get by the Port Agency portals, which are these bad boys right here, or by buying them from Dazai. If you want books faster, you're going to have to do higher tiers, but if you can't do higher tiers, either join somebody and have them help you, or just farm tier 5s. Tier 5s are easily soloable with like a single evoed unit. Like I could solo a tier 5 with just Law or just my guts, and I'm not talking unique guts, I'm talking just base guts. Following that, I'm going to explain the trait system. Traits are quite complex. You can get them from the Battle Pass, you can get trait rerolls from the Battle Pass, and what these will do is they let you put a trait on your unit. As you can see here, there's the trait chances list. Superior, nimble, and range being the most common. Range gives a buff to your range and scales up for each percent. I will go ahead and actually read off their exact percents for you guys, just so I don't get anything wrong. So for range 1 increases range by 10%, range 2 increases range by 12.5%, range 3 increases range by 15%. For nimble 1 decreases SPA by 5%, nimble 2 decreases SPA by 7.5%, and nimble 3 decreases SPA by 12%. So extremely, extremely strong. Even if you don't have any like crazy good, like you don't need a crazy good trait to make a unit better. Any trait makes a unit better other than Adept and Culling, which I'll get into in just a second. Superior 1 increases damage by 10%, Superior 2 increases damage by 12.5%, and Superior 3 increases damage by 15%. Now, onto what are considered like legendary or like more rare traits. Adept increases the level in which your unit levels up, which you get actually 50% more XP. Culling increases a 20% damage boost to enemies that are less than 30% health. So something you're never really going to use because most of the time your goal was to one-shot enemies. Sniper increases your range by 25%. It is an extremely, extremely good trait. It's divine, but with a 5% buff on range. And without the attack and SPA buffs, which we'll get to. Godspeed increases your unit's SPA speed by 20%. So it actually reduces technically, but your unit attacks 20% faster. It is extremely good on like basically any unit. If you get Godspeed and don't have a lot of rerolls, I would keep it. Godspeed is very strong. I used to use Godspeed on all my units till I started buying rerolls. Now we are on to the mythic traits. There's Reaper. Reaper does 15% base damage and 25% more damage to bosses. You're going to want Reaper on pretty much only Usopp, as Usopp is like he's a boss killer. He's meant for killing bosses because his traps are usually like the last thing the boss makes it to. And this can help Usopp shred through enemies. Our next trait here is Celestial. Celestial gives a unit a 10% damage boost, a 10% range boost, and a 20% buff as true damage. True damage is damage that bypasses all elemental restrictors. So whenever you see that shield on an enemy's health bar that has like the magic symbol or the air symbol or any element or element type on there, true damage bypasses it. So 20% of your unit's damage on top of their base damage, it's an extra 20%, will do true damage and ignore that entirely. Next, we have Divine. Divine is a very, very good trait. It increases damage by 20%, reduces SPA by 10%, and adds a 20% range boost. It is extremely strong on pretty much any unit. It's very, very good, simply because of the buffs it gives. I have Divine on my Hamura and on my Law, which is pretty nice. I really enjoy it. I also have golden on some of my units, which is our next trait. I have golden Bulma, which is the unit you ideally want to get golden on. Golden Bulma increases the yen drop by 20%, not 70%, by 20%. This means that my Bulma gives me 12.5k every single payout. It's very, very good. Golden is amazing. And it also gives a 30% damage bump. So if you don't have like a ton of rerolls, just get it. Keep it on your unit. 30% damage is still super strong. Now finally, we have Unique. Unique is obviously the best trait in the game. The only units it's technically bad on is a 5 placement, simply because it actually reduces their group DPS. On every other unit placement, it increases their group DPS. What Unique does is it gives you a 300% damage boost, aka 4 times. It gives you a 10% SPA reduction and a 10% range boost. The downside of Unique is you can only place down one of the unit. However, when your unit does that much damage on placement, it is well worth it. For example, Dio's base damage, as you can see, is 112,000. He normally only has 30k, but with Unique, I'm doing 112k, which is absurd. Like, that's broken. Everybody knows that. It is extremely, extremely good. For the actual DPS increases from Unique, when you can only place one of that unit by default, it's a 344% damage increase. For a 2 placement unit, you can increase it by 122%. 3 placements, it's a 48.1%, and 4 placements, it's 11.1%. 5, it's a minus 11, and 6, it's a minus 25%. So ideally, you would not want to keep Unique on a 5 placement, although I would personally, just because A, it's a Unique, and B, the odds of you actually maxing out that 5 placement unit early on are pretty low. So it's super strong still on every single unit, though it's stronger, of course, on the lower placements the units have. Like, that's why I mainly go for it on Dio, just because Dio is very expensive and Unique makes him so much more worth it. As well as Guts, because Guts is a 3 placement and has bleed, and so his Unique will scale with his bleed. Next thing we're going to talk about right now is the Halloween event. It kind of ties into the events. It's just a little extra add-on here. The Halloween event, pretty much, it's going to be here for about another month or two, month and a half, somewhere around there. Let's see. It'll be here for another 53 days, so you guys got plenty of time for to use this guide. Basically, what you do is you come to play, and you do the Nightmare Hunt. Every 30 minutes, the map changes. It's decently difficult, but as long as you have a team, you should be fine. Or you can solo it. It's super easy to solo with Uniques, I'm not going to lie. If you can't solo it, don't worry about it. There's no need. But basically, you get candy, and there's a chance that you get the unit called Zid to drop from the end, though the drop chances are apparently low. It's not very good. I've been extremely unlucky. And you can use your candy to buy Spooky Stars from Nami. Spooky Stars give you skins, and then there's a chance that you get the mythic unit. So, I'll go ahead and open 10 here and just show you guys. I'm obviously not at Pity yet, so I'm not going to be getting a unit. Though you can get one, it's pretty rare. I've gotten about 7 or 8, but I've actually sold most of them, simply because I don't need them, I don't use them. Although I've kept my 1 Evo. So, I mean, the units are good. They are super good. I would not diss any of the units, except for Gas. Gas is Caesar Clown from One Piece. He has a very high SPA and is not very useful whatsoever. But that's kind of it for the Halloween event. I only have a couple more things I want to talk about and help you guys out with. And the next thing is rerolls. So I talked about this a little bit in the beginner's guide, but basically your units, every 10,000 takedowns, will reach 100% worthiness. And via this worthiness, you can reroll their stats. When you reroll their stats, you're guaranteed a B+ or higher stat. It's kind of low, so I typically don't recommend rerolling stats unless you're about to evolve that unit, because otherwise you're just like risking your good stats. I got super lucky in the beginner's guide, and I actually got an S stat on Rohan. And I'll go ahead and reroll on one of these extras. Got an A- there, but it's entirely random. As I can show you, we'll probably get C stats. Or we got good stats. That's not very helpful. There we go. So all B stats. It's not really, you're not guaranteed to get anything good at all. So, stat rerolls I would save for evoing a unit, because the better the stats on the unit, the easier story is going to be to beat, and the easier the game is overall. We only got about 2 things left, and one of them is Relics. Relics buff your units in different ways. All the full details of them is on the Anime Adventures wiki. I'm not going to go into it, but basically, for some relics, you need relic shards. You get these by completing Act 5 raids, and you have a 10% chance to get them from Act 4 of the raid. I AFK the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Act 4 raid with my uniques, and so that makes it super easy to get relic shards. But if you can't, just do your Act 5s. After 4 days, you're guaranteed a relic. Super easy. Problem solved. The other relics you get from doing Clover Legend stages. All of their drops, as you can see, you will see them from the Legend stages. If we head over here and go to play, Legend stages, Clover Kingdom, each stage drops the different items for that relic. They're pretty easy, I'm not gonna lie. I soloed them before I even had a unique, and that was just with like guts. So they're very, very easy overall. Next, we're gonna talk about AFKing and the tournament. The tournament's just a quick little bit. This, you just play it every week, you get rewards, look up the strategies, and do the runs. That's about it with tournament. But AFKing, there are two main ways I AFK. There is for gems, which you can do via a Marineford tiny task. I already have a video up about it, so go to my channel. It's called How I Made like 20k gems in less than 2 days. Super easy guide. Very easy way. And the other thing I AFK is raids. When you have the full buff, you don't even need a unique to AFK the raids. So all you have to do is get to 300 killer coins. And you can AFK the JoJo's raid. Or if you want to do, say, Entertainment District, get the full buff, and then you can AFK that. The only time I would really AFK this is if the secret unit's in the game, and just for relic shards. And that's why I AFK Bazaar Town. As you can see, I have 151 clears of Act 4 Bazaar Town. So it's a lot of clears. But, you know, it's pretty easy. I get 12 to 18 coins per run, 10% chance of a relic shard, and 1% chance of Rohan. So I've actually gotten 3 Rohans from those runs in the past 2 days only. I've only AFK'd it for 2 days now, and I have 3 Rohans technically from those, 4 Reality Pens, which is Rohan's Evo items, because I have 4 Rohans, and then Koichi's Evo item, and an extra 253 killer coins. They're stupidly easy to AFK. And I'm going to try and optimize my macro more just to give me even longer runs. So, like, if you can, just AFK them. There is a guide from Sebastian. It is the perfect guide. It's exactly what I followed. It makes them super duper easy. But yeah, that is everything I have for those of you who are stuck in AA and just don't know what to do past the point you're at in story or wherever you might be stuck at trying to progress. So I hope this helps you out. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.